feeling fucking cold, buddy?
Oh, that's refreshing.
No. Back up. Wait, stop right there. Oh, what the fuck? A little closer. Alright, right there. Stand up. Alright, take one step back. Alright, that's good. I feel like we're in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Alright. Now we're wasting money because we're recording. That's how they'd be like in the old days.
And invested into a fucking computer. That's kind of what I don't like about the computer gaming industry, because they're like, oh yeah, just get a gaming PC. Oh yeah, like let's just spend like fucking 15 grand minimum.
How much is that supposed to cost?
Just to play Minecraft smoothly.
Right? How much is that supposed to cost?
Yeah, no, I'd much rather have my fucking $250 console or my $500 console that does it just as good.
Runs just fine.
Yeah.
Might not be pristine,
Oh,
perfect.
you can have all these mods that make this game like this, and that's cool, yeah, but your computer's gonna fucking blow up unless you have the shit to handle it.
Yeah.
Like, shit on the console is made to handle it. Anything that's built on there as a mod, they know that can handle it. You know, like shit. That's some of the mods on that game are so ridiculous that it's like, yeah, you don't have a good enough computer. Your computer's gonna fucking break.
Yep. Exactly.
Maybe later on in life, that's what I'll get into. And don't get me wrong, some people have some pretty cheap computer setups that do just fine. But I know there's some gamers out there that are like all computer all the way. You gotta spend like 10 grand. I'm not gonna do that just to play fucking Minecraft or like some shit like that.
Something.
Yeah.
It's just to entertain.
Yeah.
There's a lot more in their life. I mean, that's entertaining, but that's more to life because you're like getting places.
Yeah.
That's a more reliable.
Yeah, fucking quad or riding one of the bikes.
Yep.
Not only that, you're being active. Even if you are using the motor, you're getting out and you're doing something.
Out in the fresh air.
Yeah, out in the fresh air, out where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Goddamn low yuppies, lowlanders are like, oh yeah, you gotta spend your whole life going to work, driving in traffic for like 3 hours, and then living the rest of your life for like an hour at home and eating dinner and going to bed.
Nah. Days a week. Spending all your money on bills.
Spend all my money on hookers and gas. Oh.
That's how you want to live. I mean, it's expensive, but yes, it's fun.
As long as you're having fun, that's what I always say, man. Fucking
yeah, it might make you sick.
Well, that's why I'm gonna be broke, because I'm gonna go for the good hookers.
Man, we're here for a good time, not a long time.
We'll enjoy it, I guess.
Even if you do live to be really old, that if you think about the mass scale of things, that's not even that long.
Yeah, compare your lifespan to the lifespan of a fir tree.
That or even just the universe. The universe puts everything to fucking shame.
Oh yeah, or I was gonna second after the tree, I was gonna say the earth.
Yeah, the earth itself, even just the earth itself.
Like 4 point something billion years old.
Yeah,
there are fucking trees out there though that are older than Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. The Bible definitely holds some truth, but it's kind of hard to believe that everything was created only 2,000 years ago. That's
that's been rewritten.
I think it's older than that. Like there's people before Jesus, but a lot of them will say it's like 6,000 years.
Yeah, but that's.
Then there's more that'll say it's like 10 to 12.
Yeah, even then, that's like there's evidence that it's not that long.
A lot
there's
of them
evidence.
don't think they're dinosaurs. It's all.
Yeah, I know about that. I know people that think that the cow that we have nowadays that is domesticated, that's always how the cow has been. Yeah. And there wasn't any evolution. That's how God created the cow, when in reality that is not how the cow was.
So was there wild chihuahuas and
No. Like, no, in reality there's not.
We have no for sure way to say there's no such thing.
And some of them probably agree. but like I don't know. It's just like a foggy way of thinking.
A
Man.
Siamese cat
And-
was never.
Look at it like this, Steve. The Saharan Desert. You know where that is?
Oh yeah.
In Africa. That used to be a luscious green utopia like what's around us right now.
Yep.
And then like
The
5,000-6,000
Earth
years,
shifted.
the 5,000-6,000 years passed, the Earth tipped to where that wasn't like this anymore, and it was like in direct contact with the sunlight. Then yeah, basically all the vegetation and snow caps and anything that was allowed to supply water to keep it luscious and green was robbed away from the vegetation, and the vegetation fell without anything to support it, and then rotted away and got swept away by the wind,
Yep.
literally.
And
Now
you-
all that's
you-
left is rocks and sand.
Do you believe that the Sphinx is older than
That's kind of a very odd skeptical point.
I feel like the Sphinx
I feel
was
like-
created right around the same time.
Because the reason they think it's not is there's not really water damage to the pyramids, but there's a fuck ton of water damage to the Sphinx.
I was
so
gonna
they're
say,
talking about the time he's talking about when there could have been like monsoons.
yeah, they could have,
and
during
hurricanes
the
and
era
shit.
that the king
Yeah,
reigned.
it's tropical, like mangrove swamps. but-
Because the time frame that the Egyptians lived for was
Of
thousands
millennia, man.
thousands of
Fucking
years.
Thousands of
On
years.
thousands, literally.
Yeah, and there's stories even in there's like it's been proven that in their inscriptions and shit in their written text that there was a point in time that they were there when everything was lush
Green and
and
Yep.
green. Yeah,
Yep.
it had a forest and lots of water, and it wasn't only from I think it's called the Nile. Is it called the Nile?
the Nile.
That's
Yeah.
the river. That's the.
Yeah, the Nile River was like the main source.
When you're in
after it.
denial,
Yeah, so the Nile was the main source of water after the fact that everything is shifted and turned it into a barren landscape. The Nile was what everybody would go to get water for washing stuff and drinking water and all sorts of stuff. And even to this day, that's one of the very powerful source. There's a story of like how someone around in that area is damming it up. So
What?
like they're damming up the Nile.
We're making a podcast.
Yeah. So on the Nile, there's I watched this recently. They're making a big
Smoking weed
dam.
on this bitch.
There's
That's all right. People smoke weed on YouTube
Yeah,
all the
there's-
time. Joe Rogan, tons of others.
There's-
Mike
yeah,
Tyson.
So they're making a dam on the Nile,
Shout
and
outs.
fucking a lot of people up in like Egypt are pissed off, saying that it's gonna ruin like the natural water flow in the environment, and even people below are pissed off too, because they're like, well, how are we gonna get all of our water? That's where a lot of our water comes from. And the excuse or maybe the reason, if you want to call it that, for building that is so it would create a lot of jobs and more electricity for one of the biggest cities that are around there that I can't remember right now. But yeah,
Egypt.
no, it might be below Egypt.
That'd be like Sudan, I think.
Yeah, I know it's right around in that area.
Yeah, I'm gonna
but-
switch the camera.
Look, I'm not the smartest when it comes to where shit's at. Like the people that are with the dam are like, oh well, it'll give the homeless problem around here plenty of like job opportunities, and it'll generate more
Whoops.
than the power that it
That
takes.
was a foul. Oh, I gotta jump in the river now. Should I? Another time.
It's gonna be a lot colder.
Yeah.
It was water earlier. Now we're in a lot more shade,
Yeah. I don't want to ride back to town all the way.
and I feel like I needed that. Part of the reason I did it.
What were you saying again? Sorry. Well, let's jog
About
it down.
denial.
Denial?
Denial. The root.
If you're a Jamaican, that's how you
Then-
call it.
In
And
denial.
the Nile,
Oh, I thought that was a bug.
so yes, it's gonna generate a fuck ton of electricity for one of the nearby cities that has
That's a spider.
a fucking problem.
Crawling
Well,
up
it probably
Isaiah's-
looked like you just touched his cock on the camera.
spider crawling up Isaiah's
I'm
face.
not gonna
You
be
gotta
able
say
to.
it like
I'm
the
not gonna be
sergeant
able
in
to.
Predator while you're touching him, killing a spider. Like,
I'm not going to be able to talk about this. You guys keep interrupting me too much.
Sorry.
I forget what I'm talking about. I'm moving to the next subject.
That is alright. We do that here at WoodlandHoodlum TV. I forget what I'm saying every 5 minutes.
You were talking about jobs on the Nile?
Jobs
Somebody
that are
damming up the Nile that'll create jobs and stuff for the homeless problem.
There's a homeless fucking population there that's like record of how many people are homeless and like have problems with how their economy is in that city. And the dam is supposed to help not only generate electricity that they have like power outages on and shit because their electrical shit is fucked, but like, yeah, so some people are with it that are like in that city, they're totally with the idea of having the dam there,
Right.
but everybody else around them is like, nah, like you're fucking shit up.
You shouldn't
like,
do that.
You shouldn't do that because you're taking water away from people downstream for one, and people upstream you might flood out if you're not careful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
well, see, yeah, they got different topography than us. We
Yeah.
live practically at the foot of the mountains, right where we are.
Yeah.
So, where Clear Creek,
That's out.
yep, we'll load some more here in a moment. Where Clear Creek flows from, that river, coming through the canyon, if you go above that, there's a fucking waterfall that drops like 180
Yeah.
to like 200
Can you
feet.
see that at Frog Pond?
Ain't-
You see a waterfall.
There's-
Ain't nothing.
I don't think
I
it's
can't
the
remember
same
where
one.
it is.
I don't think it's the same
Getting
one.
into where that waterfall is like this, and it's not dirt.
Rock climbing.
It's not dirt. It's
I
fucking
know it's
steep
not
as
the
a horse.
right one. You know what one it is? I just thought of this. 'Cause
What's
I
that
was
called?
remember-
Asbestos Falls, right?
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
go, no, that's before even there. But if you were to go up Clear Creek above the falls and then dam it off in that big ass valley, essentially, you could back up a lot of water, help supply Darrington and Granite, and maybe even concrete.
Heard concrete
Like-
has problems with their water.
There is
A lot
a
of
big, there is a
Skagit
big
does.
valley that is literally, like I said, like it's at a
Yeah.
fucking 12, or if not worse, hillside, and it's rock. We could dam that up, and that we would get our power from that. But they don't have that topography over there in Africa. A lot of it is sand. They do have mountains, though. They do have mountains
Yeah,
that
they
hold
do.
snow as well.
Yeah,
They
they
stay
do.
tropical for way further up in elevation. Man.
Yeah.
Like, what's that mountain? Kilimanjaro
Yeah,
or something? I've seen
Kilimanjaro.
a hunting show once where they're like, yeah, we're like 12,000 feet up. And it's like, looks hotter than it does here right now.
Isn't Kilimanjaro's nickname K2? Or am
No,
I
that's in
thinking
the
of a different-
Himalaya. That's a Himalayan mountain.
Okay,
This is
so,
in Africa.
So
somewhere.
K2 is one of those mountains that's like close to Everest, gnarly, but not quite.
Yeah, and it
Like-
actually is close to Everest.
Yeah, and it's close
Same
to
mountain
Everest
range.
too. Yeah, close
Yep.
to Everest. Yeah. See, the other side of the world, I've kind of ignored that in like class. You know, like I focus more on our side of the world. And
I took in a lot of shit like worldwide, but like I still would fail on tests and stuff. I feel like that's just teacher's style. Like, it's not good for me.
well, yeah, it's teacher style, and also like there's a saying that it's a small world, but I actually don't think it's a small world. I think there's just a lot of people. So
Well, it's a small, that saying.
But is it a flat world?
no. Look up at the moon. Look up at Mars.
Have
Look
you
up
ever
at
seen-
Jupiter. Do
have
you
you-
ever see it look like a disc?
Have you ever seen the curvature?
I'm
of the
just
Earth?
saying.
Have
You
you ever
know,
seen
like
the curvature?
No, it's square, just.
See,
it's shaped like a pyramid, bro. That's why the pyramids are shaped.
Yeah.
like that.
have you ever seen the curvature of the Earth? Have you ever been up on a mountain, up on a peak of a mountain, been able to look out over everything and see
I've
the
been-
ocean?
I've been to ocean shores once, looking at the ocean like that. It was like.
See a bit of a curvature.
I bet it'd be easier if you're somewhere in
Little
the
bit.
middle of the ocean where the waves ain't too bad and there is no land anywhere.
I've heard
So,
you can
I think you could see up to like 7
On-
miles or
I've-
something
on
like
ground
that.
on ground level, you can't see it very well.
I've
Yeah.
But
heard-
when you get over fucking 5,000 feet in elevation, you are actually starting to look down at the Earth itself a slight bit.
and I've heard even on Everest, like people that think the Earth is flat, there's pictures from Everest that you can actually see the curvature of the Earth.
Oh.
And then the people that argue are like, oh, well, it was a fisheye camera. Well, if it was a fisheye camera, everything else around you would look fucking weird too.
Yeah, everything else would look weird and bent or morphed or stretched.
Yeah, off in the distance. There's no way it's a fisheye camera. Like you can just tell from the difference.
We'll go up to Boulder, and then we'll do the hurricane.
Man, I really want to go up there, and I've been around people who are like, yeah, we're gonna go up there soon. And we should do that.
You remember that he was like a kid, and we were like just becoming adults at that time at Meltdown. But do you remember that kid that like thought the Earth was flat at Meltdown, and it was the first time I went on my little journeys.
This isn't a Erickson kid?
No, I don't think so. I think he was from somewhere else. But yeah, he was telling us that the Earth is flat, and his reasoning was that when airplanes travel, that he was like trying to explain how it's flat. Airplanes will travel from here to here and then go over here, and I'm like, okay.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay,
Doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, I was like, okay, one, that doesn't make any sense. Two, airplanes need to fuel up and stop at other people's places to deliver them on the way to the final destination before they fly back.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, okay, we're gonna make the whole feet on one tank of gas.
Because they figured out it's actually easier to fly to a certain place with only a third of your fuel capacity.
Yeah.
Because you're only pushing that much weight.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can land there, grab more gas, and go somewhere else. Or finish destination.
Imagine that.
Now, how's that supposed to work? And when instead,
that's like saying in a car,
big planes.
That's like saying in a car that I would travel from here all the way to Florida without stopping for anything, or like take any curves to stop at any gas stations. That's like saying that I can just go from here to Florida just because it's flat.
Just have a tube hooked to your cock that goes out the window so you can pee in it.
Yeah.
You're just sitting on a bucket that's carved out. There's a hole through the floorboards.
That's how you travel. It's a good idea. Long time travels. Scoop and drive at the same time. That'd feel so
There was
good.
a pile of shit that just come flying out from under that car.
So get this. Someone actually did this, quote, for pun intended, shits and giggles. Someone fucking made a car to where the seat is on the, like you're on a toilet sitting on the seat. And the purpose of that car is to never stop. Their gas tank is twice as much or 3 times as much as an average car would carry. And they even claimed that they traveled and actually used the toilet while they were in the car. And
was it satisfying?
How do you do that? You like pull off to a mountain road somewhere?
No, they would just use it as they're driving, bro. Like they fucking.
They had it set up like
so
plumbing.
They would, yeah, like they had plumbing like a trailer.
Wow.
So when you took a shit and flushed, it would just go into a container.
That's too much, dude. Pull over and take a shit.
Yeah, fucking be patient, enjoy the simple things.
I don't know if that's just like an urban legend or something, but I've heard a couple like videos and like stories and shit of people saying that.
Yeah,
so.
I hope that person wasn't willing to pick up hitchhikers, because that would be pretty confusing.
Fucking.
Oh yeah, my name's Rick.
Yeah, right? Yeah. They're just like, well, I expected to get picked up by somebody, but I didn't expect them to already have their pants down.
Yeah,
Man, I want to catch one of these butterflies.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine getting in a car crash with that car?
Oh, they get out.
And you're literally scared shitless just because of the situation. You just fucking let loose as you're crashing.
You're like, well, that helped. Not too bad of a crash. Like if you're just like spin out in the snow or something. You're like, oh shit. Just fucking. I was rushing home to take a shit, and then I had the shit literally scared out of me.
That'd be the most fucking intense shit of someone's life. And imagine like spinning in a 720 in a car or something. And
I've done, what's it, a
540, a
I
spin
did that
and a
in
half.
my Dodge truck in Marysville.
Yeah, I did that in my Buick.
In an intersection, and I was going like maybe 20. Yeah, just woo, what the fuck? Just kept driving off. I was even pointed in the right way. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, so I did that in my Buick car back when I had that. And I was going down next to home, and I was taking the long way down the highway. When I did that, it was at the tail end of winter, so there wasn't really any snow left, but it was still freezing. And around that corner, there was just enough trees so the sun wouldn't hit the road. And I was going the speed limit, which is 45. And then I saw the black ice coming up, and I was like, oh no. Slowed down as much as I could. And then once I hit the ice, I kind of like let off the brakes a little bit, because I know that's not good. And yeah, it just wasn't enough, man. I just was going too fast. And then I ended up doing a 360, so a complete turnaround, and almost went into the swamp.
Where was it? Like, it was Mountain Loop Highway.
Yeah, Mountain Loop Highway.
That part where like the tire tracks go into the mud really deep, and you're like really freaking close to the side of the swamp, like that.
It's no.
Because I know you did that.
No,
once.
so I that's that same story.
Oh, okay.
But so what happened was I did a 360 on the ice as I was like trying to slow down, not really hitting the brake, just coasting and going around the corner, but it was too sharp of a corner for how fast I was going. So I started sliding, and then I did a 360, almost ran down into the swamp in between Clear Creek Road and the highway, swerved off of it so I wouldn't fucking drown in my car that has safety features that if you're going too fast, they lock, and then unless you turn the key and the car decides to start, they'll unlock. So, yeah, that's
great safety features.
Yeah, great safety features, man.
Yeah,
my car's not going to be running while it's sinking in the swamp.
Like
so,
damn mouse.
so, yeah, so I swerved off the road and ended up doing another 180 into the ditch on the other side, and then I ran down the road screaming, fuck, shit, fuck, and the water was like up to the window on one side. And then I got Andy's help, Daniel's adopted dad, and like he pulled me out with a chain, and there was just enough room in my car, had just enough power to not hit the sign that was there that said that it was like a fucking three-way intersection. Like my mirror was like probably about yay far away from hitting it, and I just got pulled out just right.
You got lucky.
Luckily, my car didn't suffer any damages either.
Bless you.
Chuh!
Hang on.
Here you got me.
I might want to know.
You want to go grab one right there. I guess I'll just sit it on the ground. Nobody knock it over where I've been fucking hacking.
Steve, you got any good stories you want to tell?
Well, that depends what
Look
you're
at
gonna
that.
talk. Yeah, you guys are like
Sounds like something.
fucking rock just knocks out Isaiah.
Oh fuck.
Did it sound like a rock was falling?
Or a
Stick broke or
That could have been a fucking stray bullet.
That could have been a ricochet, yeah.
That's
You're
kinda
right.
scary.
That is sketchy. We are way off, dude.
I know we're way off,
Yeah, I
but
don't know if that's
just the fact
from
that
the-
if that was a stray
Yeah,
bullet,
it could have been up and then down.
yeah, if that was a
Could have
stray
been
bullet,
simply a dead branch up in a
I know,
tree that fell.
I know, but I'm not.
Or a squirrel.
I think in the fact that I'm not leaving out any possibilities. You know, there's people shooting up there.
Yeah, as I deny, oh, it's a stray bullet. Damn!
Yeah.
I've been shot!
That's one of us gets hit in the leg.
That
or
would be a really shitty ride home.
shoulder.
Yeah, it would. I call quad if I get shot.
Yeah, that's
Anyone who gets shot gets the quad.
that's easy to control. It's just
Especially if it's her leg. You don't want to pedal.
oh fuck that, yeah.
Yeah, that would really suck to pedal. Especially the other bike right there. That one, you have to pedal pretty fast to start that.
Yeah, I've noticed.
And it doesn't like to go underneath 10 miles per hour. You can hear the engine whining and being like, and then when you let go of the clutch again, it's like,
Yeah, I really haven't thought of when you mentioned that earlier. Like a topic or something. I do have some in mind, but I want to go camping and make another episode like this. We're telling spooky stories. Because at night we'll have campfire.
we can start
Some Jim Bob
at
stories.
least one spooky story right now.
I don't
It's
think
like-
it should be a Jim Bob story.
No, but it's sort of similar, but it's at my old house when I was growing up.
If you've been talking the most, but if you want to share it,
Yeah, so
I'm not good at talking. Just how it
Fucking-
is. I'm
so-
better at hurting myself.
yeah, so when I was a kid, I was at my old house that's next to the school here, and there was a lot of weird shit that would happen at that house. So a lot of things I can remember that was common with, like, you pour a glass of water, and it was only with a certain kind of glass that was already in there in the house when we were, like, moving in there. And you pour a glass of water, and if you looked away to talk to somebody or to, like, finish cooking or whatever you were doing in the kitchen,
Yeah,
you'd look away
you told
and-
me this before where
yeah.
the cup's like,
yeah, the cup would just fling off the counter, and it wasn't just like a subtle like brush off the counter either. You'd see it on the floor and shatter on the other end of like where the other counter is. But the story I was gonna tell is I was playing marbles with my sister in one of my rooms because I had all the rooms of that house, but it was the room closest to the road. And we were playing marbles for like a good hour and a half or 2 hours. Just had a like ring of duct tape. She taught me how to play, and yeah, after that she ended up going to make lunch, and I was still in there messing around with the marbles, and something like that I could not see grabbed me by my leg and was like dragging me in circles around the room. And I was like screaming for help for my sister, and right now my parents are outside like watching our other kids in the pool. And yeah, so eventually when my sister ended up coming through the door, I got flung into the wall, and I was like classic cartoon status, like down it,
and how did that make you feel?
it made me feel like I was spending the night at my fucking neighbor's house that night. And that's what I ended up doing, because I was like, no, fuck that, I'm not going to sleep in that house tonight. Whatever did that to me obviously wasn't happy with me. Well, I don't know what I did to it, but obviously it wasn't very fucking like nice to me.
Wasn't
like,
trying to play nice.
yeah, I wasn't trying.
obviously.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to play nice.
Yeah.
I wanted you to know who's boss. It's like, you're my bitch now.
Yeah, that's
and
funny.
I'm gonna make you know
That's
it.
funny because like I feel like that same spirit was in the corner of my room one night while I was playing Xbox 360, and I ended up falling asleep, and then it was in the corner, and it was making these weird knocking noises and like scratches on the frame of my door.
Always
And-
think it's a rat at first.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. But my cat Shadow was in the corner of the room going, wow. And he's a big Maine Coon cat that grew up in the wild for the first 2 years of his life. I don't think that cat was scared of much. Like
Not a rat, unless there was
no,
like 100
No,
of
he
them.
ran off dogs that were like fucking 10 times his size and kicked their ass.
I seen that one
yeah,
time.
yeah. Like there wasn't many animals that can show him what for. You know, he was a big cat, but yeah, he was all in the corner, hair up, standing on his back and making weird meowing noises. And that's when I thought, oh, something weird is happening, just because by that time I was used to it. But it was making these weird like whispering noises to me, trying to like talk to me, and I was like at that corner just staring at, like I couldn't see it, but I felt like I was staring into its eyes.
You were like, what?
And yeah, and then eventually my cat was like, I'm like untensed and like stopped, and then came and laid on me and was like being really protective and like looking around a lot to make sure it wouldn't come back. Yeah, that cat used to sleep on top of my head because of that. After that, like for years he'd sleep right on my head.
Oh,
I came drifting around the corner, right there, like where the backside of the backside of your neighbor's shed or garage or something was there. There was a fence, I think, actually. I came drifting around that, and there was a dog, like mid-hike or right after it hiked its leg on the corner of the fucking like shed behind your house. And I was like, oh, what's this dog doing? Like, that ain't their dog. I don't think you guys had a dog. Did you? No.
What house was I in? The one by the
By the
school?
school.
Yeah, that one I have the most stories from that one. There's a lot of weird shit that happened there.
I came looking around that corner and there was a dog there, and that cat we were talking about was like up in the rafters or some weird place
Of the shed.
And like that dog like looked over it, and I was like, whoa, shit, like, because I was like, and started pedaling towards it. I was like, I wonder what Isaiah's doing. Whose dog is that? It's the back of his house. His dog is clean out y'all. You know, or unless it's, you guys got a new dog.
Drew's neighbor, probably.
It
Was
might
it
have been.
towards the school or towards like the brewery? Because towards the brewery is probably someone I don't know. But if it
No,
was,
I was literally like right there at the preschool parking lot.
okay,
turning
yeah,
in towards your
might
house.
have been one of their dogs. Yeah.
Like if you look at it from sky view, face with your head, or with your jaw facing south and your head looking north, I came around like this, and I was like, and I had a bike and fucking, yeah, like I slowed up to figure out what dog the dog was, because it was just looking at me like, man, what the fuck? And then I started going into your guys' yard a little bit, and then here comes your cat, like, out of nowhere, and like lands on it, and then it's like midair, it's like fucking literally, and fucking lands on the dog, and the dog is like trying to see what's coming at it, making the noise, and then fucking cat's like, get the fuck out of my yard, or
Yeah,
whatever.
Territorial he was.
And
Territorial.
the dog was just like, yikes, and moved away from the claws, like watch the fucking fur and skin be like yank away from the fucking claws of your cat. And your cat landed and just started chasing it, and I was like, that just happened.
Yeah.
And like the cat chased it all the fucking way wherever it came back from.
Yeah, so one night I was taking the dogs out, and it's funny because I feel like my cat nowadays, her name is Aurora. I feel like she's Shadow reincarnated just as a smaller female cat. But so two stories. One, my cat Shadow, when he was around at the old house by the school, we were letting the dogs out, and it was like 11:30 or 12 at night, around midnight, and there was like 2 stray dogs out in the alley. And instantly, once we opened the door and let River and Rainy out, our 2 dogs, our chocolate lab and our sheepdog, they went out there and they started fucking attacking them right away. And Shadow wanted to go out too, and he saw what was going on, and instantly he went over to them, fucking kicked one of them in the face, wrapped his claws around the other one's fucking neck, and was scratching away at its neck, and ended up like kind of classic cartoon style again, like climbing all around him and like fucking him up, and then he like hopped onto the ground, jumped up and bit its fucking nose and slashed at his neck really hard. Like you could see this dog was like, oh fuck, like,
Aggressive.
and the other one was like, ipe, as soon as Shadow was like running up to him, and the other one was like, oh yeah, you think you're gonna fuck me up, cat? And
The other one was like, oh, what do you think you're doing? Oh shit.
yeah, and then the one that thought it was tough shit ended up fucking like getting messed up by Shadow hardcore. Like that dog was like limping off in the alley, being like walking off, and then eventually Shadow was like falling behind him, make sure he left, and then I just saw my cat be like turn around and like being like, yeah, fucker, fuck with my family, like
Mess with my yard. Oh.
Alright, I got a story. And it does involve something. So I must put a disclaimer. We don't condone the use of any illegal substance. But in this case, we're young. Anyways, we had to go somewhere, and we ate some mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms, and they didn't really make us do the traditional trip where you see things and feel good. It just made us laugh, and laughed we did, and laughed we did hard, really hard. But we needed to get some weed because we didn't have any more weed. And Troy was someone we knew who had weed. That was a friend. So we decided we'd walk to his house, which was about 3 miles from my house at the time. We were already feeling the mushrooms hardcore. We were like, about an hour or hour and a half into it. And we start walking. And I swear there's every type of weather you can think of. It was the sun peeking through the clouds, then it'd rain. It rained a lot of the time, but I remember seeing sun too. And I heard the sound of Lord of the Rings music in the background as we were walking. And you know those cut scenes when they're walking across the landscape and it's like da 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 da. That's what was going through my head as we were walking. It was awesome. And we went down there and got some and came back. And then I think we did start feeling a little weirder, but we're still laughing a lot. I don't remember much. But
Were we hanging out in the log yards?
no, we went to, it was strictly my house. I think this was the day we made pizza in my house and we put bacon and barbecue sauce on it.
Oh, yeah.
One of
I
those little
remember that.
Tortano's pizzas.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was when, I think, Raymond, Skeeton.
Yeah, little
Little
Raymond.
Skeeton.
Yeah, Skeeton.
He had his Xbox. And yeah, I think it was Advanced Warfare. It was a really high-tech shooter.
Advanced Warfare.
Yeah, you
that
had
was the newest one at the time.
Yeah, you had like jetpacks and shit.
Yeah, that's Advanced Warfare.
He was playing that a lot, and that was in my living room. And we had a fire going in the wood stove. I remember that pizza. Actually, now I think about it, I think that was a different day. But it was around that time. That was a long time ago. That was like 2016, maybe 2017. Maybe.
2018 is
Just
when
look up what year Advanced Warfare came out, and it was that year.
Yeah, 2018 was the year that we really got into psychedelics and had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Want to tell the story of like, the time you were on edibles and the time I was on LSD?
Alright, once again, I must not condone any of the actions taken in this story I'm about to tell. I was dumb. I wasn't thinking right. I regret doing it. And you shouldn't do it. This isn't a good example of someone you should look up to. You should be like, dude, you're a fucking dumbass. You're dumb. Anyways, I had a bunch of weed chocolates, some edibles. It was like 100 milligrams total, because each individual chocolate was 10 milligrams. I thought it'd be a good idea to eat all of them. Which, if I was in a better environment, it might have been a good idea. But I was at work. This is not where I currently work, if anyone's watching that I work with. This is back in 2018. Yeah, you'll hear that year a lot, 2018, because there's a lot of stories to be told in that year. That was a good year. So I was working in an airplane factory, and I took it at my last break because it was 9 o'clock. At 9:15, go back, have your safety meeting, and nothing's going on, you get to leave. It's pretty lit. But that meeting lasted longer than I thought. And it started kicking in before I even left work. And I thought it'd take at least an hour, maybe 2 hours, because of past experiences. And let me warn you, edibles are random, very random.
So are psychedelics.
Yes, in this case, they're edibles with cannabis-infused chocolate. I want to say it took 20 to 25 minutes to kick in. I've eaten other things like cookies and brownies that have taken nearly 2 hours to kick in, and you still get super high, but it takes a really long. That was a loud gunshot. We're by
That was not a gunshot.
That was explosive.
That was a tannerite charge.
I want to get some of that. There's a gravel pit not too far from here people shoot at. Where was I going?
We're talking about edibles and how you met up with me on a bunch of
yeah.
chocolates.
So I finally clock out. I'm really stoned and I'm trying not to be seen by people besides this little Chinese guy. Well, he actually wasn't that little. He was like as tall as you almost.
I'm 16.
Yeah, I don't know why I said little. But he was a stoner. I didn't think he knew I was stoned, but I didn't say I was on edibles. And I left, as you know, that was like an hour drive home. And I should have just not taken him. Because the smart thing after taking him would have been to just sleep in the parking lot. Watch YouTube on your phone until it dies and just sleep.
Or at least take them when you were like really, really close to town or something like that.
Yeah,
Like in the middle of picking me
I
up,
was
like,
anticipating on it kicking in right before I picked Isaiah up. But it kicked in before I even started driving. And on that drive, that road was a highway, so you had to go 50. And I was probably doing 40 the whole way. The lions were waving like this the whole time. I was trying to stay so straight. It was scary, but I made it. Remember, this is when I was like 17, so maybe 18. 17 to 18. It was like the end of high school.
2018.
But I got back to town, and I went to pick up Isaiah. He told me he just did some acid, some LSD. That's right, which I'm not condoning you do that.
I do not recommend you follow in my footsteps.
It's something you gotta know what you're doing if you're gonna do it. Don't just think, oh, this will be fun.
Yeah.
No, that might fuck you up. You gotta
be ready.
Yeah, you gotta be ready, but I'm not saying go do it. That's the only educational thing about this video is me saying don't do drugs.
And the lesson we learned from.
Yeah. But anyways, he was on LSD. And I picked him up and we were going to my house. And I hit a bat. And it freaked me out. I've never hit a bat before and I haven't hit a bat since. This is late at night. This is like 10:30, maybe 11 p.m. And yeah, I hit a bat on his road. So that happened. And we went to my house. And we were hanging out for a while. And I kept saying, I think I'm higher than you. I know you're on LSD, which everyone thinks, yeah, that's definitely stronger than weed. The shit you see on it and how long it lasts. But how high I felt once I was home was intense. So intense. And he seemed relatively normal, other than, yeah, I could see kind of like tracers and stuff.
And the walls had patterns on it.
Yeah. But I started feeling sick, and I thought, I know why I'm getting sick. It wasn't because weed is poisonous. Weed is not poisonous. It was because I dropped one of those chocolates on the floor of my truck, and it was a dirty floor. Like, that could have given me, I might get stomach cancer from this, because I was working with formaldehyde at that job. It was a factory, and they'd get on my boots. But I didn't want to waste money. Those were expensive, so I ate it. And I think that's why I was throwing up. And as I was throwing up, we were watching the show Trailer Park Boys. It's a Canadian comedy movie. It's kind of like a documentary, but it's fake. It's really funny. Go check it out. Ricky, on an episode, had to throw up a ring that he swallowed. And he was throwing up in the living room on the TV where Isaiah was, while I was in my bathroom puking in the toilet. And he was like, how are you feeling? Like,
I was feeling like, at that point I was peaking for sure. And it was kind of weird that what we were watching on TV, like Ricky was throwing up, you were throwing up, and then I was like, fuck man, what if I have to throw up?
But you did. You did.
No, I did, because like I hate puking. If I have to throw up and I really have to, I will. But I'm gonna fight that with every little last bit of my might to not. But if it has to happen, it's gonna happen. But like, yeah, I went into the kitchen and he's throwing up over the toilet in his bathroom, and I'm kind of laughing because I'm high and fucking Ricky's throwing up and he's throwing up, and I felt like, fuck, I might be out of place. Maybe I need to throw up. And I like started feeling my guts a lot, but they didn't feel bad. They felt good.
It's like you didn't feel sick like there was a time where I got food poisoning, and my girlfriend started puking just because she's watching me puke and it's gross. But you only felt like you needed to puke because you got left out.
Yeah,
It was like playing duck, duck, goose, and you didn't get to be the goose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I felt like my guts were fine because I thought, oh, maybe I do need to puke. Maybe this is what's normal because I'm really high. And I'm thinking he's puking and he's only on marijuana edibles, right? And then whoever's on TV, Ricky, he's puking up a ring because he has to. And then I'm like, well, shit, man, I'm high as hell. How's my guts feel? Maybe I need to do that. Maybe that's a sign that I need to puke. But my guts felt fine. As a matter of fact, they felt great.
Yeah, I do remember that night ending a success, actually. Like, we were chilling after that. No puking happened from either of us after that. And we were both able to have a good time.
And on the way home.
But, just remember, do not drink or do drugs before you drive.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to learn the hard way. It's scary. It's really scary, and you might hurt yourself or others or worse.
On the way home from that, I ended up staying up all night just because how that works. It's almost like a stimulant in a way, but not really. But I ended up staying up all night because I was tripping really hard. He ended up going to bed because he's high on edibles, and just eventually you get really slumpy when you're coming down. So he was asleep, and then I decided, well, I'm tired of waiting for him to wake up. It's light out, and it's like 6 in the morning, maybe 7 in the morning, right around that time, maybe even 7:30 to 8 o'clock. And I just
Light out.
Yeah, I decided that I'm gonna walk home and go to bed, and hopefully be lucky enough by that time to be able to sleep, which I wasn't. But on the walk home, it was really beautiful. There was birds flying over my road, and there wasn't just a couple of them. It was like thousands of sparrows, hundreds or thousands of sparrows. And it's early in the morning, so I'm walking home and I'm looking at all of them, and they're making like this pattern in the sky because I'm tripping. But I ended up seeing an eagle that went down and swooped down and caught a fish, and then past that there was a fucking blue herring, and that flew by, and then eventually I got home going to bed, and I just laid there until I came down pretty much before I ended up asking how I did.
I remember we smoked an entire weed plant that night.
Yeah,
that
it
we
wasn't
found
even
growing.
ready.
Yeah, I know, it was vegetation stage. We found it growing on the edge of a gravel pit. This is like 2014, like we were in like middle school, maybe even 2013. But yeah, we took that with us when we went camping that day.
Yeah, then we ended up hanging out like it didn't even happen at the airsoft field. You remember that after?
You camped at the airsoft?
No, we were just hanging out there for like quite a while after that night. We all went there to the airsoft field. Even little Andrew said at that point, like, yeah, I should have done that, and I'm sorry. And I was like, look, man, like, I'm not really that mad at you, but like, you can't be acting like that kind of, like, that's really like rude,
Man, I just thought of a memory where I was really stupid around that time. This was like the end of 7th grade, and we built that really cool fort in the log yards, like the very first fort. And it was really big. It had separate rooms. There was a room to go take a shit. Actually, that was further away. That was a big tractor tire. But there's like separate rooms and stuff, and the walls were really cool. It just didn't have a roof. I remember destroying it once just because I couldn't get laid. I'm like 13, pissed off that I don't know how to talk to girls. I'm gonna fuck up my fort that I built with my friend Andrew for like spitting months building.
yeah, I was about to say a couple months probably.
Yeah, it was dumb. That was a cool fort.
You know that one that was like a double decker, and the bottom area is only meant for like one person to have a fire and put some food. But the upper section, we like hunted with Dakota for squirrels up there. And,
Oh, the thing that's still out there?
Yeah, it's still out there.
That
That's
was
the only
one of my
surviving,
favorite forts.
That's
just
the
'cause
only
of how cool it
surviving
was.
fort that we have that was out there that's still up. And
We had like a sheet, like, it was like a emergency blanket made out of tin foil for the door.
yeah,
I made quite a few fires in that thing.
yeah, I just remember me, you, and Dakota were on top of that, and we were smoking weed, and we were hunting squirrels, waiting for the squirrel to come by, and Dakota was having, like, I think it was sativa weed, so he wanted to really popular.
Oh, it's all
And,
jittery.
yeah, he's all, you know what I like, and stuff randomly really loud when we're trying to sit there and wait for a squirrel
Yeah,
to
us
come
and our little BB guns, like, shh, man, we gotta wait for him to come in. You're freaking him out.
Yeah. We didn't end up getting anything that day.
No, we would have had to sit there a little longer.
I'm fucking hungry right now, man.
Alright, so we had to stop the podcast early. Isaiah's stomach's getting the rumblies.
Yeah, it feels like my fucking stomach's like to my spine.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good.
It's not.
So we're gonna let this fire burn out. Andrew's gonna get on his quad with the chest mount and film. Me and Isaiah on the bikes over there at home. And that'll be all for today.